Hi everyone, this is Norman Kochnick here for Eyes on Cricket. I'm just trying to get my screen to be on full screen. I'm joined by Mosen Sheikh. How are you?
Hi mate, how are you? I'm going well, thank you. Long time.
Good. We've got the 30th game of IPL this year being played tonight, and more interesting, it's between Rajasthan Royals and Kolkata Knight Riders, but it's also the 15th anniversary in terms of when the first IPL was played, which you were involved with back on the 18th of April of 2008. 15 years exactly. We're into the 15th year as well. Quite incredible. So I guess it's happy anniversary for the IPL. 15 years is a monumental time. I haven't checked the stat, but the Big Bash started what?
10 years.
What year was that?
11 Big Bashes now.
What year?
11 Big Bashes we've had, so 2011.
2011. And the PSL would have been probably at some stage.
7th year.
What year?
2014, 15.
Well, the volume is terrible here.
Is it? I can hear you nice and clear. I don't know if any of your audience can hear me.
So 2008 is the IPL, 2011 is the BBL, and the PSL is 2015. 2015. Okay.
2015.
Yeah, and there's been some articles. Did you see the article that Ben Horn put together about the BBL? He was rather scathing and saying basically that it's on its last legs. It doesn't watch. We should be getting more Australians playing the BBL. And quite frankly, the world has been such a lack of involvement. But I wanted to bring up for our viewers before we start talking about the Rajasthan Royals Kolkata Knight Rider game tonight. Just about the IPL itself, and I have some stats. I put it on the community page as well. So if you want to see all this, guys, please go there. Himanshu Rahela's here. We've got Pravin, Ivan, a few people here. But obviously, there have been 5 victories to Mumbai Indians. Some further, I think it was 4 to Chennai Super Kings, and also Chennai Super Kings have had a number of runner-up results as well.
A lot of finals played by CSK. A lot of grand finals by CSK. That was the first IPL was CSK versus Rajasthan Royals as well. So I quite clearly remember the day and the time.
Right, and then you got so 5 for Mumbai, 4 for Chennai, a further 2 for KKR, who are playing tonight. That's 11 of the 14, and then 1 each to obviously Rajasthan Royals the first, which you were involved with. Also, Sunrisers Hyderabad with Dave Warner. But the one that always interests me is Deccan Chargers also were in it. They won it once. Now, Deccan? What area is that meant to be? Was that an area?
That's Hyderabad.
Hyderabad. Okay, effectively Hyderabad.
So Deccan.
So that was effectively Hyderabad. Okay.
Yes.
So Hyderabad, you could argue, has won 2 under different names.
Yeah.
So
that franchise got sold after the first 3 years, because the first auction for the franchise was 3 years license, and Deccan was the sole owner of the Hyderabad franchise. And after the first 3 years, it got merged, and so the franchise basically got sold off. Some of the shareholding got changed and whatnot, so it's got in with the new name.
Right. Now, again, we've had some other issues also come about with Delhi Capitals being heavily under the cloud of COVID-19, and Mitch Marsh appears to be positive. And there's a comment there for someone, Hrishikesh Panda, who says that he's been hospitalised with a CT scan as 17. I'm not sure what that means. All right. So the other things were other interesting stats, Chennai Super Kings have been in the most playoff qualifications. They've been in 11, which is
11.
quite an achievement, followed by Mumbai with 9 and Kolkata with 7. Obviously, Mumbai, Chennai, KKR and RCB have been the 4 most prominent teams, but RCB have been in 7 playoffs. They're still yet to win a final.
No wins, yes. No wins.
There.
And
it's quite
they've been
ordinary.
very.
Of course, the most hapless of all teams was Kochi Tuskers Kerala, who were in 1 year only, which is pretty sad. But going back to this year, of course, we've got 4 sides. That is, sorry, not 4 sides, 2 new sides, Gujarat Titans, who were previously Gujarat Lions some time ago, and Lucknow Super Giants, but they're both leading the competition. So I thought, I mean, after 30 matches now, 35 will be halfway, 30 at the moment, it's pretty evident that Gujarat and Lucknow will probably stay in the top 4, I would imagine.
Agree.
And for heaven's sake, Mumbai and CSK may well both miss out altogether from the playoffs. So when you think that they've had 11 and 9 respectively, that's a bit of a first, isn't it?
Absolutely. And the thing is, for both new franchise, when they went in the auction, because they had a clean slate to work with, they did really smart picking for their auctions. They picked up really good combinations for their team, and hence they're performing it really well. The icon players actually work for them as well. So they did really smart analysis on the players they wanted to get. And I think that's where they're actually winning a lot of games based on their combination they picked up. They didn't go with CSK obviously have got a lot of experience under the belt, but it hasn't been clicking up. And I think this sounds like Dhoni's last year. It's very unfortunate, but I think it is his last year. Whereas Rohit Sharma came out the other day as well. He said we're still in it, but it's with the very narrowest of a margin. Mumbai is struggling as well, so it'd be very unfortunate if both Chennai and Mumbai miss out this year. But it could be a good awakening for them to shake up their roster a little bit, because they've gone with a lot of tried and tested players and didn't want to make too many changes. Whereas the 2 new franchise have done really well with picking up the new combinations, making up fresh faces, and really making a team combination as a priority. And they've done really well. I'm very happy for those 2 franchises.
Okay. Some of the stats, Virat Kohli has the most runs with 6,283, I think it is. And which is quite a lot of runs for all the IPL. And I think he's got over 200 matches he's played as well. And then there's the most wickets has been taken by none other than our favourite West Indian, who was it? What is it? Champion.
Bravo.
Dwayne Bravo, 170 wickets.
Yes, yeah. It's 150th game today for Narayan as well. So it's a landmark for him today, 150th.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and Sunil Narayan is playing his 150th match today. Right. He got a special jersey with 150 on it from Brendan McCullum with a few words. So he's the most capped KKR player. There was some other stats here. Let me look here. I thought it was interesting to see the players of the series. Like 08, we had Shane Watson back then.
2008.
Followed by Adam Gilchrist, got it in 09.
Yep.
Sachin Tendulkar the year after. Chris Gayle. Sunil Narayan got it 2012, so 10 years ago. He's still playing.
Yeah,
he must have made a bit of money out of it. Shane Watson comes back again. Glenn Maxwell got it in 14. Andre Russell in 15. Virat Kohli finally got it in 16. Ben Stokes in 17. Sunil Narayan got it again. 18. And then Andre Russell got it again. Jofra Archer got it, and then Harshal Patel. So it's quite an interesting bunch of people that have got it, actually.
Yes, absolutely. 2015 was a turnaround for KKR because they tried Sunil Narayan up at the top. They moved him at the top of the ladder. He opened the batting quite a lot. He was really bowling his trade with the off spins really well in 2015. So I think there was a change of guard for Sunil and Narayan back in 2015, where he came back from his action suspension. He started batting at top of the order, and that's where he was really making a mark of himself, being an all-rounder, and did really well in 2015, 2018, and winning the championship. He was one of the key factor for KKR in 2015. So yeah, so I think he's really made his mark by going top of the order in terms of batting, and coming out and playing freely, which is done really well for his trade, being an all-rounder, and with his off spin, obviously he's been miserly with economy rates and getting wickets as well. So I think he's done really well since then, since he changed the mode of how he attacks the top, and then bowls his trade off with miserly off spin. So I think that's the key for his success as well.
Yeah.
So I think that.
So I just have to. I'm doing something bizarre here, Moses, and I've got to tell you, I'm having to listen to you through another phone because this volume, something's not gone right. I can hear you.
No.
I can hear you clearly on another phone, but not on this phone. So if I'm listening, it'll be based on that. Anyway, all right. So we've got some. It looks as though we've got. Well, it's only 3 minutes before the so-called toss for this match. What is your okay? Just quickly, I'll look at the table for a moment, and with Gujarat on 10, Lucknow on 8, RCB on
8
are on 8 at the moment. Sunrise Hyderabad on 8 as well. But obviously, with Rajasthan Royals playing KKR, they're both on 6 following. One of those two teams could well jump quite a few teams. Punjab traditionally, as they always seem to be, on 7th spot. They always seem around that 6, 7 spot. Delhi Capitals, surprisingly, are on 8th. And then, of course, CSK and Mumbai Indians. We'll talk about them in a minute, what your thoughts are, why they're going so wrong. But it's quite a shock. It's almost as if these two so-called new sides, Gujarat and Lucknow, have taken over, and there's a lot of questions about the way the auction's gone, the way the young players have been shuffled around, and a lot of the players have gone to clubs. It just seems to me that has it created an unfair situation? I don't know about that, but it's just the way it happens. And realistically, Mumbai and CSK didn't bolster their numbers. They seem to be relatively conservative with their process, and it's showing effect. And Hardik Pandya, my God, he wants to prove a point. And Lucknow, Lucknow as well as Gujarat, they're both wanting to prove a point in a way. KL Rahul's been on fire with his century the other day, and Hardik Pandya's up there. So those two are the top run scorers as well, and captains, which does reflect on the way they're playing. And I think even though it's early, you'd have to argue that Gujarat and Lucknow will probably stay in the top 4, and Mumbai and CSK, unless a miracle happens, will stay in the bottom 4. The rest, anything's possible. Punjab doesn't seem to be going anywhere. Delhi, well, after this COVID matter, it's going to really stuff them around. Mitch Marsh, he doesn't have any luck. He's either injured or he's got COVID.
I mean, he was injured in Pakistan when he was touring with Australia. He got injured, and then COVID here. He's not having any luck through injury or being sick through COVID as well. So it's very unfortunate. Delhi had a good roster. I thought they've got a good roster, but unfortunately with the COVID now, I think they're not sitting pretty on the ladder with only 2 wins. Whereas I think with Rajasthan and KKR both on a fringe, I think the teams at number 3 and number 4, both RCB and Hyderabad, one of the teams could drop off. It's just the momentum thing. Rajasthan have got one game less than KKR. So if Rajasthan wins this one with 6 games and 8 points, they are right in the mix of 3rd, 4th, and 5th. So these 3 teams, I think out of the 3, one team is going to miss out between Rajasthan, Hyderabad, and RCB. So I think one of the 3 is going to miss out, and that's going to be momentum thing. I think Butler's scoring runs at the right time for Rajasthan. Their team combination is good. Their spin attack is good. I like their chances this year. They've been really well gelled again under Kumar Sangakkara, and Trevor Penny is doing really good job with Rajasthan Royals. I think they're gelling well, and they just, I like to see them make it to the top 4, as we discussed earlier. First 2 years where Rajasthan did really well, and then after that they've been struggling ever since for a long time. And I think this year, if they make it to the top 4, they'll surprise some teams. So that's for Rajasthan. Whereas KKR, if you see, they've been playing a lot of finals, seven of them, and then 1-2 of the premierships. I still believe KKR have got a good combination in terms of power hitters. In terms, you see Russell, you see Hetmeyer, you see Sunil Narayan. They've got a good power hitting, whereas they're attacking the spinners really well. And this ground where they're playing the game today, it's been high scoring ground. So power hitters will come in play as well. So Rajasthan could actually sneak in as well. But the 2 teams that I think we are really surprised to see do well are the 2 new franchise, both Lucknow and Gujarat. And the reason why they've done well is young captains. They've come with a fresh mind, fresh clean sheet, and their team combination is clicking really well. The team is responding to the captaincy of both Pandya and KL Rahul, and both are doing well. In last 5 games, they only lost 1 game. So I think these 2 teams will be qualifying, but the 3, 4, and 5 are it's not solid, it's not set at the moment. Whereas the last 4 teams, I think they'll probably miss the boat in Punjab, Delhi, Chennai, and Mumbai, which is quite a shame that the 2 of the most successful franchises, and both of them missing in the same year is going to be something new.
Myself. Okay. As you were speaking, KKRs and Kolkata Knight Riders have won the toss and elected to bowl, which, as you probably would agree, that's been favouring most sides that have done that. It's an unfortunate fact that yet again there's a trend towards a toss and a decision made at the toss. So with Kolkata Knight Riders winning the toss and electing to bat, it's spelling a bit of a death knell to Rajasthan Royals a bit. What's your thoughts about that, Mosen?
Look, winning the toss and bowling, and I think that's still because we're playing on a limited grounds. I think that's still a bit of a trend building. We saw that in PSL as well. We saw that in a lot of Big Bash games as well. That teams are actually preferring to chase. Teams are actually liking to have a target set in front of them and going towards chasing those big targets as well. And as I said, this ground is being a high-scoring ground, averaging at about nine and over. So 180, 190 runs. Teams are confident in chasing. And again, the nature of the pitch is not changing as much. And this time of the year, again, dew is not really playing as much of the role. So pitch is quite flat. Pitches are quite responsive, and we've seen a tradition of teams chasing have been very successful over the last few games in this tournament as well. So I think the mindset is having a set target in front of them and then chasing it has been a formula which is successful in this first half of the IPL. With the venue changes in second half, it could play differently, I suppose.
Excellent points, Moses. Just wanted to quickly say a couple of questions here. Himanshu Rahel is saying Norman is a big deal happening in 2022, 23. Of course it is. There's no doubt about that. Then there's this question about this Dawood Bravis from South Africa being a bit of a star in the IPL, having not yet played for South Africa in the true sense of the word. And they're asking him, why isn't Yash Dole and other players building around them? Bravis is an example of skills president in the 90s. So it's a good point. The very fact that young Bravis is there because of money. And it's unfortunate because if he is meant to be a future South African international player, he could in a way ruin his career by heading for the IPL first. I don't know whether that will necessarily be the case, but we know that the Glenn Maxwells of the world, who have been IPL stars before they were other stars, perhaps slightly damaged their career, although Glenn Maxwell did play the short format for Australia, but not at many tests. But yeah, Bravis is a funny one. Certainly a lot of talent. It annoys me that they're comparing to AB de Villiers because it gives the guy a little hope of being himself. I think that's always a bit of a worry. But it's funny. I'm just looking at ESP Quick Info. They're not even. They've finally got an update happening. I think their computers were stuck for a while there. They're not talking about. They're talking about teams. 3 changes for the Rajasthan Royals. Trent Bolt is fit and back. Obid McCoy makes his Rajasthan Royals debut, and Karun Nair is in. Out goes Nisham, Kuldip Sen, and Rassi van der Dusen. I haven't got any. I have no. I don't like Van der Dusen anyway. I don't know why anyone persists with him. He's got talent, but he hasn't been consistent. So definitely Obid McCoy being he's a pretty substantial player. Karun Nair, the missing Karun Nair, who we haven't seen for years properly in any format, who was a test sensation with his triple century, has disappeared, but now he's back. But yeah, that will certainly bolster Rajasthan Royals, I would argue. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think with Trent Bolt being injured in last game, and I think Jimmy Neesham hasn't done a role that he was asked to do, and with the bat he hasn't been very successful. And I like the fact that they've gone with the attacking bowler in Trent Bolt back in the team. He'll swing the ball up front, and then also Karun Nair is in as well. I like him after making his initial impact with the bat. I think he's one of the guys that we need to keep an eye on him. Van der Dusen, you've already touched base. He's been hot and cold. There are times when he was really compared with the next best thing that South Africa would produce, but then he hasn't come clean, and he hasn't come clean in any form of the cricket, like white ball cricket or red ball cricket. He hasn't done really impressive. I think he's one of those guys that made initial impact, but then he hasn't stabilized from there on. I like to see him. He's got talent. But what he does with it, and he goes back to drawing board and come back good. You touched base on that young under-19 South African player. There's a lot of hype created about him in the under-19 World Cup as well. Listening to a lot of experts in the under-19 World Cup, they were talking highly about him. Even AB de Villiers at one time said he hasn't seen any other talented under-19 than this new boy. So it'd be interesting to see how he translate his form from here in the IPL going into the national team, and carrying on rather than just being on the path of where Van der Dusen have gone, where he's made a good impact in first couple of years, and then now he's getting lost to the system. He's not really making more impact, where he has been getting a lot of opportunities, but it's unfortunately that he hasn't. Whereas I think this young 19-year-old, I think he will make an impact when he gets picked for the national team. Trent Bolt move, I'm loving this one. I was hoping that he's fit because he matches up really well with the opposition. So I like this brave move of dropping Jimmy Neesham and bringing Trent Bolt into the team. It's a really attacking move, and that's what Sangakkara would have liked, an attacking approach to counter KKR as well. Because, as I said, Rajasthan have got one game in front of KKR. If they can win this one, they'll be right amongst the mix of the third and fourth. whereas KKR will be 2 games behind the pack between 3, 4, and 5. So this is why it is really important for Rajasthan to make this game their game, because then after the 6 games they'll be sitting in line with the other 2 teams in the top 4. Whereas a loss to KKR means their gap will start to get a bit bigger and the pressure will start to mount on KKR.
Oh, I'm playing games like. So Richard Vernon has said Rusty. He's made a comment about Rusty van der Dussen. I wouldn't be in defence of him at all. I'm afraid I haven't got much time for him. It's funny how I am a bit scathing with certain players, but I don't know. I find it hard to. If I've got a bad feeling, it's hard for me to shake that. So Rusty, this is what Richard Vernon, aka Bandstep Boy, who's very often on the show, says. He's just mentioned me. Rusty van der Dussen is currently rated 8th in the world in 50 over cricket and 7th in T20. I don't think that. I don't know how he gets that rating. I'm sorry. I've yet to see him do anything. And even in Test cricket, he's been pretty bloody ordinary. So obviously, Richard Vernon's driving in a car and he's not actually watching, but I don't think it's hard at all. I'm not impressed with the guy. So I'll just go through the sides now for us, Mosen. Rajasthan Royals, of course, we've talked about Josh Butler, you've talked about him heavily, and Paddock Holtz is a great pickup for Rajasthan Royals. Sanju Samson follows with Karun Nair. This looks good. Karun Nair, I think if he performs. Hetmai is fantastic. Rian Parag and Ashwin, Bolt, Krishna, Chahal, and Obi McCoy. I think they've got a good mix there. KKR, Venkatesh Iyer, who hasn't done too much this season. No. Aaron Finch is in. Shreyas Iyer, Nitish Rayner, Sheldon Jackson. I think this is the right player. The other person was Sam Billings, wasn't it? They were tossing up.
Yeah, Billings is still not fit, so he misses out this game because he's still not fit.
Well, then Sheldon Jackson's the other. Andre Russell, Narayan, who we know for many years. Cummins, Marvy, Umesh Yadav, of course, and Chakravarti. Another good performance. So this game is, I would argue, a lot more pivotal. It's very important for both these sides. One side that wins this will go into the top 4, and it'll be a big plus for them, I think, if not momentum-wise, if nothing else. I think Sunrisers Hyderabad's bubble's going to burst, even though they've got a very good bowling lineup with that young Malik. He bowls exceptionally well. There's something just, I don't know. I'm not convinced about Sun. They had a good run, but they've had a bad start as well. I tend to think that a team like my thoughts are, this is just my 4. Gujarat, Lucknow, I'm hoping that I see RCB and KKR in my 4. That's what I'm suggesting, but I'm not saying it's going to happen. Okay, and Aaron Finch, Aaron Finch will be mentally free, hopefully. He'll be able to play well. What's your thoughts, Mason?
Yeah, one thing on the 2 sides, as I mentioned earlier, the 2 sides actually match up really well. If you look at the batting lineup, the power hitting is quite similar in both teams. Up the top, you see Butler, and you got Samson, Nair, in Hetmar. So you got really good power hitters in this team. Whereas if you look at KKR, they've got Finch, Iyer, Jackson, Russell. They've got good finishers and good power hitters. So batting wise, they both match with each other. They both play spin really well, and they both have got good bowling attack. If you see death bowling, they've got good death bowlers as well, and that's why I said I like the inclusion of Trent Boult, because he'll swing the ball up at the top. Similarly with Umesh Yadav as well from the KKR as well. So they match really well with each other. Their spinners are really good for both sides, and they have got good power hitters. So in terms of in matchups, I think these 2 teams match up really well. I like the balance of Rajasthan Royals in this game purely because they've gone with the attacking seamer and they've gone with Nair as well. So I like these 2 inclusions. Whereas if you look at KKR, I would have still liked to see Sam Billing, because he's had a really good Big Bash as well. He was in good form. Unfortunately, he's not fit. So I don't know if KKR might miss it. And also the other thing that I'm still not 100% about, Aaron Finch. He still hasn't come out of that bad patch. I know he scored 15 in one of the games, but he still hasn't played that freely that we know Finch can, and he has been in past. So that's two weak points for me in KKR. I think that's where my liking of balance, just purely on paper, is Rajasthan Royals at the moment favoring for me. I'm not saying that it is biased, because I've got a little bit soft spot for Rajasthan Royals, but on paper, if you look at balance and form, I think Rajasthan Royals looks better. But again, they match up really well against each other with power hitting, with pace, similar sort of pace attacks, similar sort of spin attacking, and similar sort of top order. So is much of a much on paper. Balance wise, Rajasthan Royals for me.
My God, you've done your homework, Mosen. You've got a very good handle on what's going on here. It's very impressive. Obviously, you have a lot of interest because of your history with it. But to me, this is bang on the number. Are you surprised about how well Gujarat and Lucknow are going?
Honestly, in my first few games, I thought they're I initially thought they were really, because the two franchise, they come out, played freely. First couple of games when they won, I thought, new franchise normally tend to do well, but because they've done it consistently, I think they initially was surprised, yes. But I think if you look at their planning, and if you look at the way they're playing, their brand of cricket they're playing, I think you'll be agreeing with me that their homework is really well, their combination is well, and they both have got young captains, and the team is responding to those two young captains really well. I don't see them putting too much pressure on their playing 11. They're all playing their roles really well. Pandya and KL Rahul, we both know, have got really attacking a mindset about the game, and I think that's what the success has been translated into their games as well. In last 5 games, they've only lost one game each. So I think they're doing something right, which is outside the typical, what do you say, masala of Indian cricket. They've gone away from it, and they've tried different combinations. They've given free hand to their player. Their roles are clear, and that's why they're playing a really good brand of cricket with free mind. And I think I'm really happy for those two franchises.
Look, on Aaron Finch for a moment, there's comments here from Himanshu Rahela. Why is Aaron Finch not playing attacking cricket? That's a very good point. I'm sensing from Aaron Finch when he's playing for Australia, he's got so much in his mind of late, which he's done very well as well, but he's forgetting his own game a little bit, and he's always falling up to the one side. He is at his best when he is attacking, and maybe he needs to be more aggressive and just free his mind a bit and play, as does Warner of late as well. I think there's a fair point there, because he, even though he's older now, he's still got the talent, the ability, the skill. He's not someone they should just push to one side. But people forget his value and understanding and comprehending the position of play in a T20. I would argue that he could be close to the best captain in that format. It's proven by the fact they've won a World Cup with him last time, when in fact they probably shouldn't have, because their coaching, Langer and the like, were horrible. And even now, with I believe he's a much, much better captain than most people give him credit for, and his importance to a team is immense, not just his batting. What's your thoughts?
I tend to agree with you. I like working with Finch in past as well. I know he's really smart captain. He's really his thinking mind as in terms of white ball cricket. He's really way ahead of the game as well. So he's really smart. He's been in the companies of likes of Shane Warne and co. He's learned the game from the best. And that's why as soon as KKR had an opening, the first choice they went with Aaron Finch, even though Finch didn't get picked up in the first sets of rounds of auctions as well. So as soon as KKR had an opening, they knew that they can pick up Finch because he'll play a leadership role, not only playing as an attacking opener role. And I agree, because once he's playing for Australia, he's got a lot on. He's thinking about the team. He's thinking about the whole lot. Whereas here, I think he'll probably he started to play a bit freely in last game as well. I think he'll go and he should try and play freely, because he knows that he's out there expressing himself. He's got no pressure about captaincy and whatnot. I know he's a leadership group. He's still considered as a leader in the group, but I think Finch should start. You'll start to see him as the tournament matures further towards the business end. I think he will start playing a bit more of an attacking role, which he started to play last game. And I like to see him go out and play really attacking form of cricket that we all know that he's known for. And that's one innings away. And you and I both know that once you're in a bad form, you go out and have one really good solid innings, and then you're away. And he's that kind of leader as well, that he contributes really well towards your team as well. So that's why I think KKR, when they had the opening or the opportunity, they went straight towards Finch rather than going and experimenting with a young fellow, or going with someone like Benny McDermott or Philippi. They could have easily gone with someone younger who's just playing attacking brand of cricket and in form, but they've gone with Finch for that particular reason, that he's a leader.
Yeah, it's funny. You mentioned Josh Philippe there a minute ago, even Josh Inglis. A lot of noise about Josh Philippe. Look, I really honestly think that the IPL is here and the BBL is there. The form of the BBL on Australian conditions, Australian bowlers, mostly Australian everything, suits certain players down to the ground, and they can look good in patches. But if they want to play IPL, they're going to show more than what they're showing. And it's intriguing how that is the case. So you look at all the Australian players that play in the IPL. I mean, Pat Cummins certainly batted well, got runs recently. Bowling-wise, we really have struggled in the IPL. Daniel Sams, for example. There's a few players that haven't adjusted to the IPL. Glenn Maxwell's a perennial IPL player. So is Warner, Aaron Finch. Certainly. Steve Smith's fallen away badly. The Australian players are just struggling. I mean, like Ben Cummings being axed. A few of the bowlers are not really. They've either got to acclimatise and be suited to playing IPL and step up, or they're not cutting it. They really are not cutting it. I mean, Josh Hazlewood's an example where he had a very good season last season for CSK, and they won the comp. And he became all of a sudden a much better T20 bowler for Australia. And it's almost like the IPL catapulted him up to that level. I think that people who think that the BBL form carries you onto the IPL, or commentary we're getting on the side is saying, why is Josh Philippe not there, or his person, that person? Look, there's a standard that we're not reaching it. The IPL is the pinnacle by a country mile. They maybe the PSL and even the Caribbean CSL, they're providing us with similarities to then step up to IPL, but even the hundreds nowhere near it. I mean, really, the IPL is the pinnacle, and it is played mostly in India, although that one time in South Africa back in 2009, remember that was after the bombing, wasn't it?
That's right, yeah.
But I'm just saying to you that IPL is a distinct step up. I don't even think we realise the intensity of an IPL match is quite incredible. And look at even David Miller, who has lost his way a bit with South Africa. It's a matter of being able to rise to the occasion, and a lot of the Australian players are basically found wanting. And one of the BBL is suffering because we haven't got the standard of players in that from overseas. We really need to be smart and somehow attract the Indian players to the BBL. I don't know how we would do that, but if we had let's say, some of the players that have perhaps passed us, even if we had Dhoni, if he stopped playing IPL, if we had Dhoni floating around, or we had some of the players, we really need to do the reverse now. We need to perhaps find the money, which we haven't got, to actually attract IPL standard players. And I'm afraid that's what our problem is. We are not the same. But how can we be? We're not paying players millions of dollars. If we started paying Pat Cummins $2 million to play BBL, he would certainly be playing more regularly and playing probably at a better standard. We can't match it. We have not got the money, the firepower, and the timing of the year is just wrong. No wonder our BBL is suffering, because we cannot match the IPL. And the IPL now is encroaching more and more on our time. And the PSL, it's becoming obvious that we really do struggle.
One point I want to make in that argument as well. Last few years, especially last 2 years of Big Bash, we've suffered quite a lot. Our viewership is down. Our standard of cricket is down as well. Two reasons: we don't have the overseas player coming in here, as our restrictions have been too harsh, the bubbles have been too harsh, and the tournament has been too long. 7-8 weeks of bubble, where players have already been through a lot of bubbles through international cricket and whatnot. Then they come here and they face extreme conditions about the bubble, and the tournament is too long. Everyone said the tournament's been too long. Even last year, you see, by the end of it, no team had the overseas players. Even with us at Sydney Sixers, we had 2 overseas players, both had to go back. The tournament was too long. They couldn't even cross. We were coming from Coffs Harbour to play in Queensland, and the player was not allowed to cross the border. So, you know, the players do get annoyed with that kind of restrictions and limitations, where you can't have a tournament being successful, and a lot of audience wants to see standard of cricket, where it was in Queensland, had hit with the COVID, and they had to get club cricketers to come up and play for Brisbane Heat, which was not up to standard. And similarly with Melbourne, Stars and Renegades got hit, and then Sydney Sixers got hit towards the end of it. You cannot have a tournament of that kind of standard where there's no international players. The standard of cricket was compromised because of, you know, the local government was not supporting the tournament. I think they've got to do something about it. They've got to shorten the tournament. They've got to allow more superstars to come in. And the star power is always going to bring the tournament credibility high, because your standard is going to be improved. Look at IPL, even though they got hit with COVID and whatnot, the standard of cricket is not compromised. The players still go there. The length of the tournament is just about right. I was surprised how the 10 teams going to be playing in this year, but so far they haven't lost the interest by the audience. They haven't lost the interest. We are nearly halfway through the comp as well, but we haven't lost the interest from the audience. The viewership is still good, even though the crowd is still, you know, some are good, some are not. But your cricket is good. Your standard is good. The players are all involved. Even in PSL, which got concluded before that, they had good standard of players there, even though the protocols were still high. The tournament length was about right. So that's what the two things that Big Bash has got to do. They've got to make sure they attract the star power, and the length of the tournament has to be just about right, not too long. And also one thing is they've got to get their local internationals playing in there. They can't be playing Test cricket and Big Bash at the same time and missing out on the standard of cricket.
Okay, I just thought interrupt you there. That was great. Again, the BBL scenario, if explained, was spot on. Now we have, obviously, Rajasthan Royal with their pink outfits there, and the bowling side, of course, KKR with the purple. They're on the field now, all under lights. Butler's walked out with Padikal. You've got Umesh Yadav. It's all set for a start here. I must say, this is theatre. Watching IPL, it's absolute theatre. Sorry, we just don't max it. The American style, it is. The money's there. The first ball's bowled there. To me, it is the tournament, and we have to seriously, as you said, one of the major problems is that the BBL is too long. The IPL certainly isn't short either, but it's the premier tournament. We've got to, if we're shorter and punchier, it might be a better tournament for us, I think, because we're not going to increase the number of sides. We're doing none of that. We should have more. To me, even with the IPL, success is, to me, the success is double headers. They need to play more double headers. I know it's not necessarily TV-wise clever because the timing doesn't suit them, but I believe the double headers is the way to go. Even the IPL could do a lot more double headers than they are doing. They have increased the number, but they got 70 matches to play. I thought it was 84, but it's only 70.
70.
It still takes a lot of time. It takes a good 2 months if you play one every day. They best playing 2 or 3 double headers. I think 3 double headers a week, and that'll make it a lot more slicker. I even think they need to have a day off from the IPL, like a deliberate 3 double headers and a day off, because even the viewers need a day off, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. They just don't. They can't become to a point where there's cricket overload. They cannot overload cricket on the audience. You got to keep enough interest from viewership point of view where you go, you want to see cricket. You don't want to go, okay, I've seen enough cricket. I can do without watching a game or two, or having 2 or 3 days off by not watching cricket. I remember when I was part of the IPL, there used to be, like, Bollywood is a big industry in terms of film, movies, and whatnot. The whole the release of movies stopped while while IPL is happening, because they knew that audience, the viewership for the movies is not going to be up, because people will be watching cricket. They wouldn't be watching any Bollywood movies. They wouldn't be going to cinemas. They won't be going to theater. So they hold off the release of the movies till the end of IPL. So I think they're coming back towards that. But you got to keep the interest alive, where people go, I'm hungry, or I want to see another game. I'm not saturated with watching too much cricket, and I think that's what we get it wrong here at Big Bash. The middle part of that Big Bash this year and last year was where we hardly had crowds in there, because people had seen too much cricket, or too much one form of cricket, one side of cricket, so they got bored. And I think that's the challenge with 10 teams in IPL as well. You got to keep that viewership interest alive. How you keep the audience engaged, that is the crucial part. I think they got to get it right.
Now it's a real juggling effort. I've just noticed this opening of El Machado has been fantastic. Only 2 months off it. Just looking at it, is that Karun Nair keeping? I think it is. I'm not sure. Anyway, all right. So there's 5. They're saying that 5 members of the Delhi Capitals team, including Farhat, they're actually tested positive. And that they're saying that the DC match may not happen. Well, it may not happen tomorrow. It may happen at another stage. But that makes sense. But I mean, I don't know what. I mean, you obviously had COVID yourself, Mason. I'm in Sydney. It's as if it doesn't exist anymore. Nobody's taking any precautions whatsoever.
No.
It's quite intriguing. I think Sydney had a bigger early wave, and we've vaxxed up so much that we're fine now. But India's obviously a mess in terms of it. We're not seeing the numbers. We're not even aware of really what's going on anymore. It's completely off the front page, which is interesting. This game.
And you saw in Shanghai the rates are up again, and they're going back to lockdown. They're going back into lockdown situation in China as well. So whether there's another wave up for surprise or not, who knows? But I think here in Brisbane compared to Sydney, like when I was there for Big Bash as well, I did not see any protocols. Even though we were in Brisbane, we were following so many protocols in terms of masks and sign-ins and whatnot. And I think Sydney gave up really early in terms of herd immunity, where if you're not even tracking it, whereas Brisbane, we're still kind of tracking it. There's still places where you go and see a lot of guys are with masks and the check-ins and all of that. They're still checking you're vaccinated or not. So it's mixed bag. I think it's local government driven, but I wouldn't be surprised if tomorrow's game with Delhi with 2 support staff and 3 players getting tested positive, that might get postponed to another day. But I think with the wax rate getting really high up, I'm pretty sure India will catch up on that high wax rate as well. So the quicker it gets, it will then become herd immunity, like in Sydney, where we don't even worry about it. And I think come next year for Big Bash as well, they got to get rid of those bubbles and whatnot. It's really hard keeping those players in that bubble conditions and expecting them to perform and the viewership to be up as well. So I think that's something come May, we got to live with it. We got to live with this virus. It's not going anywhere. So long as you're waxed, you just got to treat it as a flu. I was hit with the virus, as you mentioned. I was hit hard with that. For a week, I was really out. But then after that, I'm on the mend. I still feel a little bit of a weakness, but I think it's the part of recovery. Once you're over it, I think it's just one of those things that you just got to live with it, I suppose.
No, it's if you were hit hard, that's not good. I was hit relatively hard, but it wasn't that bad in my case. My mother, who's 90, as I've told you, still hasn't had it, which touch wood is amazing. Now, the game's well and truly so. Butler looks like he's out of form. He's only hit 2 off 7. He's missing a lot of balls with a lot of, unless it might be a slightly better bowling wicket. Oh, that's a lovely shot from Patakal. He's just tipped the ball through mid-wicket. It's exciting, but I'm waning with this. I'm not covering it live like this every night. I think we need to be selective when we do it. I think we need to give even my viewers a bit of a break too. Otherwise, it's really good. Look, I'd like to thank you, Mose. That was a fantastic summary. You've been wonderful to have on again. I might end up talking for another 5 minutes, but thank you again. We'll talk more. I'm going to work out what's wrong with this microphone, but I might get a pair of ear sets so I can hear you without having to worry about this problem. But I don't know what the problem is, because you're loud and clear on the broadcast. Thanks again, Moses. You look fine to me. You haven't lost weight or anything. You look fine.
No, I'm fine. I'm on a good mend, and I'm drinking enough, and hopefully we'll catch up again soon.
All right, you take care, Moses. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks to the audience as well. Talk soon. Cheers, Ta.
See you soon.
Bye.
Well, there you go. Moses and Carl, what knowledge that man has. He has incredibly detail in his knowledge, and it certainly has shown to me a worthy understanding of IPL, having been involved from the very, very start with the Rajasthan Royals, captain coached by Shane Warne. That was the position that Mohsin Sheikh had. He knows all about the IPL. And Josh Butler looks a bit shaky. They're none for 8 after what is virtually almost 2 overs. Marvy's bowling. Yeah, so a lot of questions being asked about the BBL. The BBL it'll be still on, guys. So KKR is asking about that. Delhi Capital situation may disturb them for a while, but they'll come good. Don't worry about that. Please don't repeat your questions, guys. It becomes a bit too much. Robert Adati online, how are you? So it's Pat Cummins is in the side. He hasn't bowled yet. Shivam Marvi takes quite a run up. But Umesh Malik, he's been fantastic, hasn't he? He's a big filing for the IPL. What he bowls consistently 150 plus. Just having a little look here. We haven't really 3, 6, 7, 3, 6, 7. Yeah, it's a interesting situation indeed, guys. My country is Australia. Rohit Adati. I'm from Australia. I'm living in Sydney, Australia, but cover the IPL quite extensively. And please, guys, if you're online, make sure you subscribe to the channel and provide me with a subscriber, which is always very useful. People from Pakistan do not watch the IPL. That's true, and I will be covering the PSL when it comes out next year, so don't worry. But the BBL, guys, it certainly is lacking. It's in its strength. It's not what it used to be. I can assure you, guys. Butler's out. We're saying Australia's your favourite cricketing nation. It's good. It's been is Butler out or not? Watching a replay here. Butler's not out. And maybe my broadcast is a couple of seconds behind. And Mishadov, Butler's just hit a 4. He's moved to 7. So I don't know where we got this. Butler's out. Josh Butler's now on 7. He's just hit a very strong 4 for Mishadov. The danger is Butler could go on for a lot longer. So go on your road today. That's good. And Mishadov's feeling the pain of being hit by Butler. Butler's been very slow in his starting of this match, but that could certainly change. We all know that. Tata punch is a new. See you tomorrow, Subhash Chandra Bharata. See you later. Yeah, it's been an interesting start to the match. Josh Butler's slow, but we know he can make up for it. Kazi's team give baggy green to Henry Hunt or Jason Sanger. I think certainly that's Jason Sanger. Henry Hunt, I don't know. Butler's just standard delivered there and hit him out of the ground for a massive 6. In fact, it's gone over the boundary fence, over the buildings. What? It's the 444th 6. Butler just stood there and just delivered. This is where Butler can, obviously a slow start, but he's decided I'm going for it now and hit this magnificent 6. Gave his front leg some air, and he's just clobbered that, and it's gone well over the building there, well over he's gone right over the roof of Brabourne there. 100 metres it's gone. Landed on Marine Drive. Sensational. It'll be very interesting to watch more and more of the way that Butler plays. All right, guys. On the 15th anniversary of the IPL into the 15th season, with Mumbai winning 5 for CSK, 2 to KKR. That makes 11 of the 14 that have passed, and then 1 each to Sunrisers, Deccan, and to Rajasthan Royals. Now the 15th, who will it go to? It won't be the team that's won 9 out of the 14. No, will not be the team won 11 out of the 14. So we might see a new franchise, as in Gujarat, or maybe the Lucknow team come up and win this, which would be quite amazing. All right, guys, I might call it an end of a night with currently Rajasthan Royals batting first. KKR won the toss and elected to bowl. And that was close. Rajasthan Royals, of course, got Padikal. But both very impressive players indeed. All right, guys. Here we are. We have to It's gone on an hour. I've enjoyed talking with Mohsin Khan. We've had a good start to the night. So please view, like, and share the post. Subscribe if you're there. Hit the notification button and watch the show from afar. That'll be appreciated. So I was waiting for one of the Shadows to bowl the next ball. Butler's not quite there yet. Not quite there yet. There's an hour. So, all right, guys, we'll talk tomorrow.